Entropy is a form of degraded energy which is not available for the living organisms. Simply we say that energy which is already degraded but unavailable form of energy. Okay, unavailable form of heat energy. You say that heat energy, it is constitute the entropy. Very simple, right? Now, let us learn one more important 2 marks question, that is standing prop. What do you mean by standing prop? Standing prop is nothing but it has a certain mass of living material at a particular time is called standing prop. Once again I am repeating, at each trophic level in an ecosystem or in a food chain, at each trophic level has certain mass of living matter. Okay. The standing crop is measured as a mass of living organisms, nothing but biomass. Standing crop can be measured by biomass or number of living organisms in an ecosystem or per unit area is called standing crop. Now what do you mean by GPP? Important for 2 marks. GPP stands for gross primary productivity. NPP stands for net primary productivity. Gross primary productivity means a rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. Okay. Certain amount of GPP, sufficient amount of GPP utilized by the plants for their respiratory movements or catabolic process. What are the catabolic processes in our body? It's definitely respiration. Okay, respiratory activities. What do you mean by net primary productivity? Gross primary productivity minus respiratory loss equal to net primary productivity. 20 to 25% of GPP is utilized for the respiratory activity. Next, what is the difference between upright and inverted ecological pyramid? In upright pyramid, the number and biomass of the organisms which are there at the first trophic level of producers is high. Okay. What is high here? Number and biomass of the organisms at first trophic level is high. Such pyramids are nothing but upright pyramids. Now what do you mean by inverted pyramids? The number of biomass of organisms at the first trophic level of producers is less. That is called inverted ecological pyramid. Now, one more important 2 marks question. Difference between litter and detritus. What do you mean by litter? Litter is nothing but amount of dead organic matter fallen on the surface of soil, like dead leaves. Okay, if you take the leaves of a plant, animal excreta, okay, dead bodies of animals, etc. are considered as litter. What do you mean by detritus? Detritus is the amount of dead organic matter that is found below the soil surface, which is eaten by the detritivorous organisms. What are they? Detritivorous organisms. Okay. So this one basic difference we have to mention. So you will get 2 marks. Then, what is the difference between primary productivity and secondary productivity? Primary productivity is defined as the amount of biomass or organic matter in an ecosystem produced per unit area by the plants during photosynthesis is called primary productivity. You know very well about primary productivity, which was classified into gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Gross primary productivity, which defines the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. What about net primary productivity? Gross primary productivity minus respiratory loss is equal to net primary productivity. What about secondary productivity? So, this primary productivity has two different sections: gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Secondary productivity, if you see, rate of formation of new organic matter by the primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers is called secondary productivity. Okay, whatever the new organic weight or biomass produced by the consumers is called secondary productivity. Let us take one more important 2 marks question. Air pollutants for acid rains. Acid rains are caused by the release of sulfur dioxide. What is that? Sulfur dioxide, chemical formula for sulfur dioxide SO2, and nitrogen oxides NO2, etc. into the atmosphere, and when they released into the atmosphere, they react with the water and also with oxygen and forming acidic substances like sulfuric acid and nitric acid. So like this reactions are taking place when this sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide enters into the atmosphere. Next, one more important 2 marks question. BOD, what do you mean by that? The amount of dissolved oxygen needed by aerobic biologically organisms in a specific aquatic ecosystem, right? So this oxygen helps to these aerobic organisms or aerobes for breakdowning organic material present in the water sample. Okay, now this biological oxygen demand, important question. After that, what is biological magnification? Important for 2 marks. Increasing the concentration of pollutants or toxicants at successive trophic level in the ecosystem or food chain is called biological magnification. Example, increasing of DDT, dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethane is one of the insecticide that can increase at the successive trophic levels, which causes biological magnification. Then, what about uses of incinerators in hospitals? Hospital contain various type of waste. The hospital waste, whether it is a radioactive waste or a common waste, the hospital waste varies from site to site. The biggest challenge in the hospital is to dispose the waste that is coming from the various streams. Now, incineration is the process or preferred way which helps to decompose type 1 waste to type 4 waste without endangering the health patients or staff, anyone in the hospital. So incinerators are used to decompose the hospital waste. The hospital waste, which includes used cotton during surgery, used needles during the insertion of any kind of antibiotic or used other kind of utensils, patient utensils, okay, etc. Syringes called as the hospital waste. So these can be decomposed by incinerators by a process called incineration. 2 points only there, you will get 2 marks. Only you have to think your own and you have to write about this incinerators. The remaining part we will continue in the next class. Until stay tuned. Have a nice day.